We all have our favorite Squid Game character. Sometimes people like the mother and son connections, maybe they like the mother and daughter connections, possibly the villain is so interesting it's your favorite, or you could be simple and just absolutely love the main character. Sometimes people like the ones that you can relate with the most in any way possible, whether that's speaking your language, doing the hobbies you do, or plastering your own hatred of someone onto a character that's so hard not to hate. Whatever you like, that's your opinion, and in my opinion, Hyun-ju, ever since she became the warrior that she is in season 2, became my favorite character. I feel like it's very easy to like her, and when y'all decided to vote for her to be what this video is about, I jumped with joy because I've been wanting to talk about her for some time. You all know why you're here, so let me just say it out loud. Let's talk about how Hyun-ju from Squid Game teaches us how to write a warrior. Now, before we get into the show, here's something that I was surprised to find out, and I don't know if this is a common knowledge thing, but Hyun-ju is actually based on a real person. Byun-hui-soo was a real South Korean sergeant who was fired for transitioning, but before she took her own life in 2021, she fought hard in courts to get herself back into the military. It's a very sad situation, but this sets a precedent for Hyun-ju and her backstory and how she plays out in the show, so I thought this was a very important thing to share. Now with Hyun-ju, in the very early moments we saw her, I'm not gonna hide the fact that although I'm not transphobic, I sometimes get a bad feeling when I see a character such as Hyun-ju, because I believe there is a modern form of tokenism that is sweeping across Hollywood, where there are diverse characters designed to only be the diverse character, and have no actual development besides being a walking message that bigotry is bad. And bigotry is bad, but it's extremely lazy if a character is there for the sake of just being that walking message, since the directors and writers are honestly dehumanizing groups of people when they think they're being inclusive. Hyun-ju thankfully swept away my fear that the South Koreans fell down the same rabbit hole when we actually got to know her better. We learned that she is here because of the same reasons the real Hui-soo had, since she was fired from the military for transitioning. But in Hyun-ju's case, her transition surgery had led her into crippling debt by losing her job and wanting to finish her transition, leading her to have no other option than to trust the card she got. Obviously, if you've seen season 2 and 3, there are a lot of characters that get screen time, and that the next section on the six-legged pentathlon and mingle may be a bit short. But in the six-legged pentathlon, we get a sense of how far she can go. During her time playing, easily one of the most annoying characters in the show basically gives up, and hopefully Netflix won't knock me out and send me to red light green light for this, but I think this quote is so good that it's hard not to share it. So after she slaps wait, what's her name? Seon-yo, not once, but twice, she drops this bar.
포기하면 너는 천지신명이 아니라 내 손에 먼저 죽어.
This line, I think, perfectly encapsulates why people fell in love with her, because she is a warrior that isn't constantly trying to prove a message, but is genuinely a strong character. Her choice of words is genius because it adds a side to her that is afraid to die, but not afraid to do whatever it takes to live. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks that there could be a reality out there where Seon-yo got so offended by this that she wasn't scared of what would happen if, she just gave up and does it all out of spite. But the fact she gives in immediately just shows the way with words she has, adding the side that a lot of attempts at diverse characters miss. Take for example Captain Marvel, infamously criticized, but let's be honest, she is a physically strong superhero, but that doesn't give the excuse for her extremely weak character, since she doesn't have to work for her strength, or prove it when the movie just shoves the message in your face of, look at how strong she is, wow, constantly. In just one sentence, Hyun-ju went from the transgender Squid Game character to the actual GOAT of the season who happens to also be transgender, not letting her transition be the only thing that defines who she is. Dungoge, it's time to mingle. Now that we've analyzed her first warrior aspect, what happens when things don't go her way, plus some interesting foreshadowing. During the final round, Young Mi is knocked out of the way and dies because Myung-ji runs into the room at the last second and locks her out. Up to this point, Hyun-ju has connected with Young Mi the most, and when she dies, there's no escaping the fact that Young Mi would die either way, and it depends on whether it would have just been her or her and everyone else in that room, since they need an exact number. So Hyun-ju loses the person that meant the most to her and tries to take it out on Myung-ji, but he's actually defended and she must back off because secretly deep down she knows he saved all their lives. It's just a little strange that Myung-ji was the savior, but we'll get back to that later. Her next time to shine has to be when we actually see in action how good she is at fighting, since she teaches everyone the ways of how to use a gun, and then easily racks up the highest KDR in the lobby. But although cool, a warrior needs to know when to stop. It's an interesting touch that because Hyun-ju had been a part of the military, she wants to go back out since that's what they teach you in the military. But she's stopped by one of the only people that could talk her down, and thankfully, that saved her life. Her warrior side tried to tell her to keep pushing until victory, but at this point, it's practically hopeless behind the scenes and there was nothing she can do to stop it. She didn't give up. She saved her efforts for the next battle, and that's where Season 2 ends, with the biggest and most important part of the warrior arc coming in Season 3. She's been through a lot. The audience has too, but now it's almost time for the cruelest and arguably most heartbreaking episode of the entire show with the most brutal game, hide and seek. Hyun-ju made the right decision last season by staying safe and saving her efforts because she goes wild in this episode, delivering some of the coolest fights in the entire series. She stands with honor and as a protective force for two people that are most in need of protection due to a new baby coming and being older than most others. Hyun-ju kills 2 people total while being a hider, and she does all of this with the mistakes of other people trying to pick at her, and of course the people she's protecting. She pushes through the pain and takes all of the hits, and even though her main goal was to protect, she was still able to find the exit during her second encounter with a Seeker. Hyun-ju has consistently been a strong character developed through her backstory and her helpfulness, keeping the people she loves alive. She fought a game that was hard, and after all the injuries she faced during hide and seek, she found the exit and the opportunity to escape. But if she were to have left, she would have completely given up on the people she loved and came all this way with. Of course, she turns back to help them escape too. I'm surprised that I haven't seen anyone complain about this part because everyone knew that Hyun-ju is a warrior at this point, that fought and outlasted so that she could propel her friends forward too. Her character motivations made complete sense in saving them, but of course, it's almost like this is the way it was meant to be. She was kicked out of the military because she transitioned and was pressured by debt to come to the Squid Game in order to finish, but along the way, she kept true to the military ways that left her to die when she needed support the most. Don't get me wrong, it's sad to see her go, but she died a warrior that never gave up on people she loved. She would always try and save them even if it didn't work out. She went out by the knife of Myung-ji. It's sad foreshadowing from Mingle, but if Hyun-ju was not there for Jun-hee, she would have been dead the same way that if Myung-ji wasn't there for the group, they would all be dead. They both owe each other a little bit of respect, but Myung-ji took it too far by letting the greed of how much money he could add to the piggy bank get to him. Hyun-ju's death was avoidable, but at least she protected the one she cared for in her final moments because this certified her as a true warrior in a place that is filled with greed. Her whole journey led her to this point, and when the military abandoned her, she knew she wouldn't make that same mistake. I always get worried when I publish videos like this. Take for example how some people watch game playthroughs and how you can't really say you like or dislike a game if you never actually got to experience it yourself. You can know a lot about this one particular game, but if you've never actually played it, then that means you can never fully understand what it feels like, and that's how I feel when I make videos about stuff I don't have first-hand experience with. I hope I did somewhat of a fine job, and if you thought so, make sure to give this video a like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe because I'm trying to reach 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help with that. Also, let me know what you think of the new look. I think it looks amazing, but I want to know what you think too. With that said, thank you everybody for watching. I'm Enchanted. Bye.